Okay, welcome back to the United Pubcast, the podcast of the official Man United Supporters Club here in Sydney, New South Wales, Australia. And Larry, we were just discussing last weekend. It was a little bit of a depressing weekend, you could say, last week. We'll forget the scoreline, but a much better feeling this time around.
Tom, we kept a clean sheet. I mean, my bed sheets weren't clean. My bed sheets weren't clean after Ronaldo's goal, but Manchester United kept a clean sheet. That alone is phenomenal.
Well, Ronaldo did keep his shirt on. I'm not sure of his yellow card tally, but he obviously is keeping that in check. But it was disappointing to see him keep his shirt on. But there are some guys in the comments. Actually, one comment here before we actually came into the studio. George saying, sorry guys, won't be able to join, but my 3-2-1s are Ronaldo, Varane and Bruno. A nice springboard for the weekend. So yeah, we will. The 3-2-1s are returning for everyone in the comments. So make sure you do get those in by the time we do come around to those. But some other guys in the comments. Rob, good to see you. Yes, the boys. How good does a win feel? Look, it feels good, but yeah, especially 10 times better considering the situation we all had last week. George, good evening, mate. Another fellow Tom from Sydney. Hope you're well. Flim Flam Spurs fans are weird. Yeah, very accurate, but I don't think there's anything groundbreaking. But Ryan as well saying, evening all, that clean sheet is magic. Even Fred almost had a 30-yard scream. Yeah, I was thinking, what on earth is Fred doing when he was lining that shot up? But that's what you see with Fred. You see that and you think he does have that in his log. He should be very good the way he does strike a ball. But yeah, often he doesn't strike it like that. And Wes, hope you're well, mate, as well. But we will move into it. And look, Larry, last week there's no hiding from how sort of depressing the chat was and the mood was last week after the 5-0 defeat. But I think back to it and we sort of sat there and sort of dissected it and think, and we're always, quite level-headed in our sort of reaction and sort of we don't sort of go too over the top. We were sitting there, we accepted this, we discussed that, we discussed this. And I think it was quite level-headed. And this one, I was thinking, okay, it's a Man United win, back to winning ways. We can just sit back, relax and just enjoy the win. However, I feel I'm more fired up and more passionate about this one in regards to the post-match reaction by sort of some so-called fans after the game. I'm thinking this one has sort of bowled my piss a little bit more than last week. Last week was sort of just, it was flattening, where this one has really pumped me up in terms of, yes, nothing changes in regards to Solskjaer and our position in regards to his future as manager. But you have to enjoy it. The negativity around just remind me, we did win 3-0 away at Tottenham. Like the negativity around yesterday. 3-0. I couldn't get my head around it. Just your thoughts.
I try to stay off Twitter nowadays. It's just not worth it. I mean, football is to be enjoyed for when you are winning. That this is what you follow football for. You ride the highs and you dwell in the lows. And I will never, ever, whatever I think of the manager, I will never call for someone to be sacked. Absolutely pathetic. Even Louis van Gaal, as boring as his football was, we all said at the time, he's probably got to go. But imagine not wanting us to win the FA Cup final, Jesse Lingard burying it when you're down 10 men. A historic moment goes down in history. And that wouldn't happen against these so-called fans who want the manager to lose. It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm absolutely buzzing for the win. I thought it was a really professional performance by Manchester United. And how about this, Tom? How about we put some praise on Solskjaer's name? I know we will get into it. We're so quick to criticize him when he's tactically found out. I think tactically he got a spot on today.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, we'll get into team selection, obviously the 3-5-2, which will dominate a lot of the discussion. And obviously going forward, do we use that next week against Manchester City? But we'll do that in a little bit. But Jamie from Northern Ireland, hope you're keeping well. And I just think you mentioned that in the mood around it. Like, who would have thought we always, whenever we drop points to a lesser team, we always look at the other results. We go, that's why we can't drop those points. We need to pick up wins because other teams just won't do that. Who would have picked at the start of the weekend that we would have won away at Tottenham and Liverpool would have blown a 2-goal lead at home to Brighton and Crystal Palace to win away at the Etihad? So I know results, when they don't go away, they're frustrating to us, but they do happen to other teams. Teams go up, and Arsenal are in the form of their lives. They're going to have a bit of a downturn eventually. We've been in horrible form. Hopefully our sort of the tide turns with us. So yeah, the mood, I think, just has been completely over the top, and we can't get carried away with this result. Tottenham were poor. We can't hide from the fact, but United were good. Tottenham have had some good results this season. I think they beat Man City as well, first game of the season. It has been there. But on the team selection and the 3-5-2, and we'll get to some comments because I'm sure a lot of the discussion will be around the sort of change in shape. And just your thoughts, because we gave our predicted 11 before the game and we didn't even allude to 3-5-2. We said it potentially could happen. But in terms of a prediction, we just said, no, I would think it would just be a normal sort of 4-2-3-1. But he has gone to it. And just your first reaction, both on sort of Solskjaer's thinking behind it, but also the reaction to it. And I know we just discussed sort of fan reaction on social media, etc. But from what I saw of it, there was no discussion in regards to the tactical approach from Solskjaer. The reaction I saw, oh, he's just pretending what Conte would do. He knows Conte is the new manager of Manchester United, so he's just trying to do what Antonio Conte is going to do. And I just think we have short memories. Very often Solskjaer plays a three at the back. Some of our biggest wins and his best performances have come with three at the back. Like, this is not a new thing for Solskjaer. This isn't him hitting the panic button. Now, maybe there could be an element of sort of a last throw of the dice, but he has done this before, and it's quite a common thing. So I didn't understand the outrage over it an hour before kickoff.
I'm past this entitlement that Manchester United fans have of, we have to dominate the ball, we have to play a certain way. Roy Keane summed it up perfectly. You don't earn the right to play football a certain way. This is a results-driven business. And when you're playing to the strengths of what this squad has, counter-attacking football is probably the way to go about it. And I thought, while we didn't predict the formation, what we did say was Spurs are likely to allow that opportunity for United to counter-attack. And I think we saw that. We saw that today. And I thought, credit to Ollie, what he did do is he identified that there aren't enough players who work hard enough off the ball. That 4-2-4 that we seem to set up with off the ball. If you actually looked at it today, it was much more compact. I wish I had the graphic in front of me. I did have it earlier. But the midfield had three in there at all times, off the ball and on the ball. Bruno Fernandes now in that second line of defense as opposed to that front line of defense. Cavani pushing from the front. And I thought what that did do is it just shored up things through the middle. And what I really liked about it, and the advantage of playing with a three at the back, Tom, is when you've always got the extra man in the midfield. What that means is Tottenham have to create space out wide. Now, you can't score a goal out wide no matter how dangerous you're looking. I was absolutely buzzing when he took Lucas Moura off. But I thought it was really smart by Solskjaer. He removed Rashford, he removes Greenwood, and he replaces their defensive output with Shaw and Wan-Bissaka to then occupy those wide spots. They'll run up and down all game. So I thought it was spot on.
Yeah, you mentioned sort of the distance between lines, and you just look at the images that sort of burned in our memory from the Liverpool game on how exposed our midfield was when Bruno presses the goalkeeper, etc., and they were able to play through us. I think the main difference we weren't really pressing too high, but we were pressing well. Not even pressing, we just had a really good shape, and a lot of it was down to Bruno in that 10 position because when they did play into midfield, the defence was pushed up on the halfway, which pushed McTominay and Fred on, which pushed Bruno. There was just no space for Tottenham to play through. So it wasn't United were pressing very well. We just had a far better, not better shape. A 4-2-3-1 is a good shape. A 4-4-2 is a good shape. You can define any formation as a good shape, but you have to be disciplined in it. And United were very disciplined, unlike that first 5 minutes, which absolutely killed us against Liverpool. But one of the things in terms of, again, reactions in terms of personnel and team selection, you're never going to please everyone. But I really hate the notion that whenever we win this type of game, Solskjaer, he's playing 7 or 8 defenders. Of course, you're going to keep a clean sheet. And I think I understand the frustration with sort of defensive-minded players or so-called defensive-minded players. But there's sort of the label that's thrown out into play 8 defenders. So we're counting Fred and McTominay as defenders. Do we count Fabinho as a defensive midfielder at Liverpool? Is he a defender? Do we call Jorginho, who sits a little bit deeper, do we call him a defender? Do we call Rodri at Manchester City, who drops into the back line, do we call him a defender? No, we don't call them defenders, but we call Fred and McTominay in midfield, we call them defenders. Just another stick to beat Solskjaer with. And here we are sitting, nothing changes in our position with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We still think he needs to go. This result doesn't change anything. But the reaction I thought to that team selection was way over the top. We'll just go to some comments here before we move on to the actual football, because there was a football game. Tom saying, can't get carried away with this win. The criticism still stands for Ollie. One win doesn't mean it's all good. Still have Atalanta and City. It's not pathetic to call for the manager to be sacked. I don't think it was discussing calling the manager to be sacked. It was calling or wanting Man United to lose. That was the pathetic reaction we didn't want. So many fans online did want United to lose so they can get what they want in terms of the manager sacked. But completely right that one game doesn't win anything, doesn't change anything. The stance on the manager must stay the same, because who knows what situation we're in next week after Manchester City arrive. But Flim Flam, I must have blocked and muted the right accounts because I didn't see any negativity on Twitter. I am jealous, mate. Mike saying, agree, guys. Some of the fans online are toxic and disgrace. That's why I love this channel. So much balance. Presenters and the majority level-headed fans. Appreciate that, Mike. Right on to the football. Fred and McTominay, to be fair, were miles better today. They were good. That new system can work even with the likes of Pogba, Donny, Matic, in the middle. On a side note, how good was Wan-Bissaka? Which we'll get into Wan-Bissaka in regards to the 3-2-1s, and Pogba will be interesting because a very good performance without Paul Pogba, but now he's obviously suspended for City. So in my opinion, he walks back into the Atalanta match because he'll need minutes and someone will need a few fresh legs, but we'll get into that one at the end of the podcast. Elliot saying, evening, mate. Hope you're keeping well. And George going 5 at the back with Maguire and Shaw works. If we want to go to a back 4, Lindelof and Tellez should come in. Our teamwork's rates everywhere. We went back to the famous counter-attacking game plan. Did you see that post before the match? I'm not sure. We'll post in the group chat. I'm not sure if you went to bed or not. But Alex Tellez put an Instagram post out saying good things come to those who wait. It was a photo of him playing and sort of all these emojis, sort of smiling faces. And it looked like when these rumours were appearing that it was going to be 3 at the back with so-called wing backs that Tellez was going to play. But ultimately, I don't think Tellez was on the bench. Was he?
I can't recall. But look, Tellez will get his opportunity. If United do stick with the 3 at the back, then he'll definitely get to play much more football. And I actually think what Tellez offers going forward, with a wing-back position, defensively, there's not as much, I suppose, requirement to be defensively sound, but it's more about your work rate to get up and down the pitch. And I think Tellez's delivery is much better than Luke Shaw's. So, yeah, I'm keen to see, does Ollie stick with this formation? And if he does, then I think Tellez could definitely be producing in terms of assists, definitely for Ronaldo and Cavani in the middle.
Yeah, well, definitely. Just 2 more before we quickly move on. Ryan saying Bruno's definitely been told to drop a little bit deeper as well. So blatant to see when we didn't have the ball, which Larry definitely alluded to before. And Elliot saying, what do you think of longevity of Sancho on the bench? Another Donny van de Beek case, which, look, that is another debate for another day. That's a full topic. But just before we get onto the football, because I do want to discuss it, just my last bit on this Conte and Ollie thing. And again, I have no issue with people wanting Antonio Conte in. He's obviously a fantastic manager. And here we are saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer needs to go if we do want to take that next step. But in terms of the criticism of Solskjaer, let's pretend Antonio Conte came in after Liverpool, which I'm sure was very close. I'm sure there was discussions. Solskjaer was very lucky to keep his job. Let's say Antonio Conte comes in, takes charge of this Tottenham game, plays 3 at the back and wins 3-0. We'll be saying, what a tactical genius. This is what we've been missing out on. Well, Solskjaer has just done it. We have to give him credit where it's due.
I agree with you, and that's what I referred to earlier. I don't think you had to play 3-5-2 against Tottenham. I think he's obviously done it looking at United's frailties and our weaknesses. But you got to say, Tom, we'll get into the 3-2-1s. Rafael Varane made a massive difference. And that's the thing. I don't know if it's the formation setup or was it we simply put a world-class defender into the defense and suddenly things look a lot more assured. In saying that, Tottenham did not have a shot on target all game. Now, you can look at United and say, yes, we defended well, and I think we definitely have. There's an improvement there. But Tottenham didn't. They didn't have a prayer. They were awful. But you can only play.
We're talking about Harry Kane in the pre-match show and thinking, what is wrong with him? He obviously doesn't want to be there. And then when you see our forwards in terms of Ronaldo, maybe not in terms of work rate, but Ronaldo's desire to go and score goals and Cavani's obvious work rate. I know. Look, I was saying at the end of last season, let's go sign Harry Kane if we can. But now you look at the sort of those 3 strikers. I know which one I'm sort of glad isn't at my club, and it's obviously Harry Kane. But speaking of Ronaldo, we will move on to the football. Ronaldo, again, just a reminder to everyone, does play for Manchester United and scores goals for Manchester United still. Where do you want to start with that goal, Larry? Because, look, you can talk about the finish if you want, because it's a fantastic finish. I've just seen another reverse angle, I think, from one of Man United's social media accounts where they do the behind-the-scenes stuff. A fantastic angle of the finish. And you can talk about the goal. Feel free. The pass by Bruno Fernandes, I think, I watched it the first time, I think, oh, great ball. I've been watching it for the past 2 hours on repeat, and I think it is. I urge everyone to go back and look at it. It's an unbelievable ball for so many reasons. And the first thing, look, if you or me are playing here and we see Ronaldo, we can make that pass to Ronaldo. It's not a difficult pass. What is difficult? We can make that pass, but we'd have far much too height on it. And the goalkeeper, not the goalkeeper, the left back would be able to get ahead on it. We wouldn't be able to get that sort of speed and dip on it. But Bruno Fernandes has been able to put the weight on it, so the left back has absolutely no chance. And it's an unbelievable pass, and it's something they sort of link up quite well. You've obviously seen him do it once or twice at Portugal. I would love to see a stat on how many Ronaldo goals so far in a red shirt have come from Bruno Fernandes' assists. And just your thoughts on the fact when Bruno did pick up the ball, but also the finish by Ronaldo.
I like that Bruno played deeper today. He wasn't in position to score as much, but I thought the midfield just functioned a lot better. Again, I think time will tell whether this was a tactical masterstroke by Solskjaer or was it, in fact, Tottenham allowing Bruno to do what Bruno does. But It was a brilliant ball. Absolutely. I don't think many players in world football execute that. When you're talking about the pace of the Premier League, you don't get time on the ball. And that's what I like. I think Solskjaer just needs to work out. I don't think 3-5-2 will actually be what we do going forward, Tom. I think he's currently looking at how do I get this side to shut up shop a little bit, build the confidence. And I think once he actually builds the confidence back into the side, I think he'll then look to execute the 4-2-3-1 again. But nonetheless, what I do like and what Solskjaer needs to execute going forward, should he remain as manager, how do I get Bruno to actually play in the midfield? Because like we saw today, when he gets deep, gets his eyes up, unbelievable vision and execution.
Yeah, no, fantastic. Ryan here saying Spurs did have a few chances, Son in particular, 1-on-1, and should have scored, really. Wan-Bissaka did well to get back. Yeah, no, I think that one was offside, but Wan-Bissaka and Son weren't to know that was offside. And yeah, what a fantastic tackle. Will be interesting with Wan-Bissaka now. He's got Raheem Sterling, who he always has in his pocket. It'll be interesting to see if Sterling plays next week in the derby. And Tom saying you have Varane and you will have a good chance to not concede as many goals. Coincidence, we got a clean sheet from his first game back. Well, yeah, I think the 2 clean sheets we've had this season, his debut against Wolves and obviously this first game back. And I think the thing with Varane is, well, not only, yeah, he's a fantastic defender, so that obviously helps, but I think he almost has a bit of an influence or a bit of an aura around him. I don't want to say in the Ronaldo sort of category, but in terms of that sort of, he does have that presence in terms of if you're a striker and you've been watching Rafael Varane on the TV for the past 10 years, lifting Champions League trophies and World Cups, you go up against him and you think, geez, I'm in for a tough evening here. This is a top defender. I'm going to have to be at my best. And it's almost like that when Ronaldo's up against a defender's already second-guessing himself. And I think Rafael Varane almost has that about him because he has been sort of regarded as one of the best defenders in the world for God knows how long. So he was fantastic, which we'll get into in regards to the 3-2-1s. I'm sure his name will pop up in the discussion. Mike saying Rashford, Greenwood, Sancho on the bench. What unbelievable young talent that would be starting for many front threes around the Premier League, which it's interesting and it's a fascinating debate when you throw that into a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-3, how they fit into that system. But Trev here saying 7-1-2, which is what a lot of people were saying, but what I sort of alluded to at the start, which I just hated that notion that if a defensive midfielder for Liverpool plays, well, he's a midfielder, but if a defensive midfielder plays for United, he's classed as a defender, and it's solely used to beat Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with. But it does work, and Wes also mentioned in regards to those attackers, Martial, which Martial does suit a two-striker system. Some of his best performances in Solskjaer's reign in a 3-5-2, I remember the head he had, and I think Chelsea as well, was with Anthony Martial up front. But that was obviously the Ronaldo goal. We'll move on to Cavani, and I was so happy for Cavani to score. One, because obviously you want to see his striker score. Everyone does love Cavani. But I was looking at it. He needed a goal. While he's been playing well, you think he's a striker and it's November. Well, almost November. To go this long without a goal, he did need to sort of finally get one. And he
His
hasn't
last
been playing
goal was Europa League final? Was his last goal?
Yeah, it would have been. So, while he's been contributing very well and doing very well and deserving all the praise, and you'd definitely keep on playing him. We've made a case here that he should be starting over Ronaldo, for God's sake. But he did need a goal, and you can tell he definitely did enjoy it.
Yeah, class finish too. Not enough being made of that. That's just pure number 9 schoolboy, straight out of the school book. Tom, I love Cavani. I really do. He plays like a football fan on the pitch, and I think that's why it's so easy to get behind the Uruguayan. What a player. I'm so happy we have him. And, I think it will unfortunately be his final season. I'd love to say let's find a reason to keep him. So let's just enjoy watching a master do what a master does. So good to watch. He's a pleasure to just to see every week. And I think what he's doing, there's talk that he's really taken Greenwood under his wing. Bloody hell, if I'm Mason Greenwood, not many better strikers to learn off.
Well, speaking of Greenwood and Ronaldo, we won't sort of dissect it here, but you look at their sort of interactions on the pitch, not in a sort of personal thing, but in terms of the way they play football, there's a little bit of a disconnect in terms of the way they both play. And but Cavani and Ronaldo, this is the first time we've seen them play. Everyone has said, can they play together? What sort of system can we fit 2 strikers in? Well, we had the answer in terms of 3-5-2 and Solskjaer's thing. He played them both from the start. And they did look, I can't remember too many times where they linked up to sort of, well, obviously the goal. They linked up quite well, and great ball by Ronaldo, sort of a very underestimated part of his game. We think about the goals, but he does have that sort of eye for a killer pass at times. But it just looked on the way the game panned out, it looked like Cavani and Ronaldo had an understanding.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's just what you get with 2 experienced pros doing what they do. They'll be communicating. And I think what it allowed what it allowed is Ronaldo likes to occupy the left space in between the winger and the right back and the centre back. And I think it allowed Ronaldo to occupy that space. Cavani much more being the near post man for the right and just holding the ball up, doing the defensive work. It was a really good compliment. They obviously won't play together every week. So I'm really curious to see, Tom, coming out of this game. What's Solskjaer going to do against Atalanta? What's he going to do against Manchester City? Does he stick with this two-man system? And if he does, how do you fit Rashford, Martial? And you know what? If you're talking about it, the only player who doesn't fit into a two-man system, oddly enough, is Jadon Sancho, the guy we just paid £75 million for.
You think that, in terms of the way I line up a 3-5-2, if I was the manager, in terms of the way I tell my attackers to do, what I'll do, one of the strikers goes on to one of the centre-backs. The number 10 will press the centre-back with the ball, allowing my right forward to press on their left back. So we can occupy three of the defenders. So I think Jadon Sancho could almost play as a striker who can drift a little bit wider if Bruno wants to be a little bit more advanced and press a little bit higher. Now, ideally, that's not Jadon Sancho's game. It's not perfect, but I think there is a system where if we're on the front foot and attacking, and Bruno Fernandes or whoever the number 10 is quite advanced, I think he can do a job up front. But obviously, that's not ideal. You don't want a striker or Jadon Sancho starting from a sort of a more wide position. But before we move on to Rashford's goal, because I've kind of forgotten Rashford's goal, he did come on and score a goal, but all the sort of Ronaldo and Cavani love has sort of overtaken it. But Ryan just reminded me here, Rashford has been electric since he returned. He's definitely back a goal next week against City. Well, I think Cavani might, and not a drop, but I think Cavani might be dropped against Manchester City and just will line up the same way, but just have Rashford there just for that extra little bit of pace, because I think the game will play out the same way. I think we'll sit in, we won't set up to park the bus, but I think just City will have more of the ball. So we'll do a lot more defending. So I think when those sort of counterattacks do come, I think Rashford might be a little bit better suited than Edison Cavani. But time will tell, and we'll definitely have a preview before next Saturday. But Tom here saying Greenwood now has Ronaldo and Cavani to learn off. Crazy if he doesn't learn and improve even more with these maestros as his mentors, which, again, look, Ronaldo is great for bringing these goals. Cavani is great for this experience. But the main excitement, I think, when these guys arrived, obviously the excitement around Ronaldo there was everything to be excited about, but was Mason Greenwood. I remember when Ronaldo signed, Mason Greenwood scored against Wolves. And we had the debate the next day in terms of our Wolves post-match show saying, how's Ronaldo going to get into this team over Mason Greenwood? Mason Greenwood started the season on fire. So I think we have to be really patient with Mason Greenwood because, as Tom said, having Ronaldo and Cavani there, both mentoring him, is just perfect. Like, you couldn't ask for a better sort of introduction to senior football. Trev saying Cavani and Ronnie were great together. Two class players, can only get better. Wes saying Cavani's first touch to take out Lloris was from the Ronaldo pass was unbelievable. I thought Cavani was actually going to go past him. You mentioned the sort of dinged finish, Larry, but I thought Cavani was actually just going to continue his run and just sort of open the goal up for a tap in, but he had the confidence to sort of dink it nicely. Alex saying here, Sancho's played number 10. Sancho's very versatile. I think I do see a future for him, not a future, but I can see him playing in the central role, almost in that, would say, Jesse Lingard role. Could you see sort of a similarity in that, Larry?
Yeah. In terms of what he contributes, like he's someone who creates for others. He doesn't look to think score first. So yeah, he definitely could do a job there. I think the only criticism, not even a criticism, I think Sancho's work off the ball isn't what you're not going to get that level of output that you would get from a Cavani or Jesse Lingard. And I think, unfortunately for him at the moment, that's probably why he's just being pulled in and out. And unfortunately for him, I guess he just hasn't had the fastest start. And I'm sure by the end of the season, Tom, I think he'll flourish. But he's just, unfortunately, he's a square peg in a round hole at the moment. But look, he'll get his opportunities. And once he does, look, he's 21 years of age. I'm not concerned with Sancho at all.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Sam here from the Supporters Club saying Spurs were awful, regardless of a great result. It would be good to get a result midweek and then smack up those gumboots next door. Definitely. We'll obviously be at the pub next week for the Manchester Derby. Football Tragics, brilliant result, lads. Bet you're buzzing. Feel free to leave your the Football Tragic, your link to your channel in the live chat. Everyone go subscribe to the Football Tragics. And Trev saying more than happy for Ollie to keep this formation and bring in other players into the fold, get some competition going for places. But I'm sure a lot of the discussion in the next week or two will be about this formation. But Larry, before we move on to the return of 3-2-1s, as I said, Marcus Rashford scored a goal, came off the bench, nice little assist by Matic, typical, almost textbook Rashford goal, in on goal, open your side foot into the far corner, textbook.
Can we talk about just the one piece of credit? Look, the goal, it's nothing brilliant in terms of it's something we've seen. Like you said, it's textbook Marcus Rashford. can I say the level of composure he's added to his game? Because when he first broke in into Manchester United squad, that's what really stood out. He comes on, he scores a double against Midtjylland on debut, phenomenal. But all the commentary coming out of the youth ranks was this player is brilliant, but he lacks composure in front of goal. Yeah, it's funny. He comes into the first team, he shows it, but then you've seen over the seasons, at times he's quite frantic. But what I love what he added, if you look at his goal, particularly against Atalanta, and then again this one today, when he's one-on-one with a goalkeeper nowadays, 9 times out of 10, you're backing him to finish. He's really added a good amount of composure to his game. Good on him. He's been world-class, Tom. We said this season, could it be the one where he breaks into that conversation? From what I'm seeing so far, yeah, I think he's definitely putting his hand up.
I think it's his birthday. I just saw on Facebook or Twitter, one of them popped up. Might be his 24th birthday today. So happy birthday to him, if so. And yeah, he does look a little bit like Rashford we have in our mind because of the memories you bring when he sort of first burst on the scene. We think of Marcus Rashford as this young player, but now he's back after this surgery, and it's not because of the surgery. He's obviously spent time in the gym kind of thing, but he looks like an adult now. Like Mason Greenwood's sort of growing, but he looks like a kid. Marcus Rashford now looks like a fully sort of built professional. And that
Feel it up frame.
Yeah. Well, which naturally happens. And Mason Greenwood, we'll get to that. You look at Ronaldo, how sort of skinny and lanky he was when he first arrived. So time will tell, and sort of really good things to have. But Wes saying Rashford is class on and off the pitch, which I think a lot of people forget the off the pitch stuff. Like, yes, we care about on the pitch and results and performances, and that is what we live and die by. But at the end of the day, like Larry said, football, it's just a game, and you have to sort of remember and respect a lot of stuff Rashford is doing away from the football pitch. But we will move on to 3-2-1s, Larry, the return of 3-2-1s, because we just forfeited last week. We just said, no, not going to do it, not going to give anyone a points for the dark day in Manchester United history. Where do you want to start? I'll give you the floor first in regards to 3-2-1s, because there's a player who we haven't really discussed. I think one of the comments sort of mentioned one of the incidents in regards to a tackle, but we've talked about Ronaldo, we've talked about Cavani. Actually, before we start, first of all, thank God we don't have to mention De Gea in this discussion, unless you want to. Feel free if you do want to, but yeah, it's kind of pleasing not to have to mention the goalkeeper. But my shout, and I think from discussions with you offline today, your shout as well, huge shout for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I thought he was key in the way we're playing.
Man of the match by a country mile, to quote Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, except I'm not talking about the Scotsman. I felt Wan-Bissaka was brilliant. And what it is, I almost giggle when I watch Wan-Bissaka play, Tom. He's so awkward, just the way he runs. And I remember there was a game where I said to you, does he have a bad first touch? And you're saying, actually, his first touch isn't bad. It's just the way his body moves. Bad. He's just quite an unorthodox. He's got an unorthodox style. I think that's the best way to put it. But he's playing some brilliant football, Wan-Bissaka. I think going forward, he's starting to look more dangerous. And I like that he's backing himself. He's going against players one-on-one, and he's dribbling past them, and he's confident. I think Wan-Bissaka's a great shout for the 3 points this week. Really good player. Could have had an assist, but I love his work rate. Like you said, the Son opportunity, forget that it was offside. He didn't know that. Son didn't know that. He had no right to get there. He ran from wing back, I should say. Had a lot of ground to cover, and he got there. Brilliant.
I think what I also really liked about his, and obviously he performed well, but in terms of the other side of the performance, into sort of the mental aspect of it, again, and this goes for every player, whether it be Harry Maguire or Ronaldo or McTominay or Fred, it was rock bottom. We're at rock bottom across the club, the players, the manager, the fans, and to come into a must-win game and have a completely different job, because playing right wing back is a completely different job to right back, and for the manager to say, okay, this is a must-win game, I'm going to completely change your role, and I want you to do this for me. A lot of people would have said, if we go to a 5 at the back, let's play Diogo Dalot instead of Wan-Bissaka type thing. But he's gone with Wan-Bissaka and completely changed his role. So for him to perform like that, both defensively and again attackingly, sometimes in the attack you think, oh, I could do a little bit better. But again, a lot of it, if you actually look at the efficiency of him, he's actually not too bad. It's the way it looks. He's actually quite sort of successful with a lot of his passes, and he might not be sort of bursting down the wing and sort of whipping in a great cross, but he very often doesn't lose the ball. Now, sometimes as a Man United fullback, we do want more. We've sort of grown up with sort of Gary Neville getting balls into the box, Patrice Evra being the best left back in the world type thing going forward. Yes, we do want a little bit more, of course. But if someone's not losing the ball and doing their job right, you sort of have to take credit and say, well, he's doing his job, especially for someone who is a sort of defensive fullback.
Yeah, spot on.
Just some comments here, which we will get into sort of our further 3-2-1s here, but just everyone else's 3-2-1s while we're at it. Rob saying Wan-Bissaka, Ronaldo, and Cavani. Yeah, hard to argue. Ronaldo, Wan-Bissaka, and Cavani for Ahmad as well. Sam saying Ronaldo, Wan-Bissaka, and McTominay as well. Wes going Ronaldo, Wan-Bissaka, and Cavani. Ahmad here, McTominay deserves points too, which will be part of my discussion as well. I thought McTominay was very good. Ryan said Ronaldo, Wan-Bissaka, and Varane, which, we have mentioned Varane, and fantastic to have him back. He was fantastic. I thought Maguire and Lindelof were better. How much of that was down to Rafael Varane? You could say a lot, especially considering the difference to last week. Trev saying 3 points for Ronaldo, 2 for Wan-Bissaka, and 1 for Scott McTominay. 2 points, Larry. I'll throw it to you first. Not obvious for me, but I think kind of straightforward, maybe.
Cristiano Ronaldo has to be. And the only reason I don't give 3 points here for Ronnie is, I think he plays a key role. The first goal is really important in a football game, particularly for Manchester United. God, I can't remember the last time we scored first in a football match. It was probably when Ronaldo made his second debut against Newcastle. But what I like about it, the goal, phenomenal. But everything he did during the game was really good. I like the reason Wan-Bissaka gets the 3 points here is because I just think over the 90 minutes, he probably has more of an impact in terms of the game. But Ronnie's goal, phenomenal. He played well. I love the way he complemented with Cavani. He gets a goal. He gets an assist. I think we forget that with Cavani's goal. It was Ronaldo, the most selfish player on earth, apparently.
It was a throwback to his old 2004 Ronaldo chop as well. It was a fine bit of skill, and then the pass. Yeah. It was like sort of old school Ronaldo. But Ryan here, before we move on, saying, by the way, if we beat City next weekend, we're on equal points with them. Who would have thought that? So it'd be fascinating. City are sort of title challengers, best team in the world football. We're an absolute crisis. We're 90 minutes away from being level with them, and that'll be a fascinating debate. But Ronaldo, I thought, again, we look at his goals and we say he's in for the goals. He might take away from our performance, and we completely agree with that. But when you actually do look at his individual sort of instance when he does get the ball, it sounds stupid to say, he's pretty good at football. Obviously, one of the best footballers, if not the greatest footballer of all time, is good at football. But he is someone, I think, especially when I compare him to Lionel Messi, Messi's a 10 times better footballer in terms of getting on the ball, passing, moving sort of thing. Than Ronaldo's a goal scorer. Ronaldo impacts games. But you actually watch Ronaldo, he's getting on the ball, he's linking up play, he's making the right decisions. And I think he's been fantastic. Take away the hype of Ronaldo. Take away the name, take away the story. Just look at him as a new signing into the Premier League. What a revelation he's been. He's scoring goals in England, in the Champions League. He's leading the line for the biggest club in the world sort of thing. He's been a fantastic signing. Take away the financials. He's been a great signing. 7
goals in 9 games? Ridiculous.
Something like that. It's unbelievable. So, look, fair play to him. And, definitely worthy of 2 points for me. And a lot of people have had him in their points as well. Now, there's 2 players here. We've got 2 graphics, as you can see, some new graphics. I'm very much thanks to Larry for teeing these up right before kickoff. We've got 2 more graphics here. We don't know who to put up. A bit of a discussion. We'll discuss on who we want to give the 1 point to. I'll give you your first shout and see if I agree, and we'll discuss them.
I was leaning towards McTominay, and I couldn't argue with you if you say McTominay. But then I look at it. We kept a clean sheet, and it's our first clean sheet since Wolves. And what those 2 games have in common is the Frenchman Raphael Varane. And I thought what he did, Tom, I got to tell you, Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw are still giving me heart palpitations. But this man here, he's the glue. He's keeping everything steady. And I think his impact, yes, you can say McTominay was brilliant, but United just didn't look like they were going to concede today outside of that Son offside opportunity. And I think this man here, Raphael Varane, is the one keeping things going. I think he makes the players around him look better. And that's the ultimate compliment. You think of Michael Carrick. That's what Carrick did well. We almost said, well, where was Carrick? Well, actually, he was so good at his job that you didn't even notice him. I thought Raphael Varane, while not standing out, was absolutely brilliant. So for me, he's the 1-pointer.
Yeah, I think not only that, in terms of the way we played, both on the ball and defensively, I thought he's fantastic. No, not fantastic, but good, especially compared to what we have seen in regards to Harry Maguire in recent weeks. But also just the you look at set pieces. The last couple of weeks, every time we've had a set piece, you're going, this is a goal. And look, to be fair to them, they did score off a set piece again, but it was one of those ones that was quite comfortably offside. I think Cavani was in a good position. He knew he didn't have to sort of defend there, so we're quite easy there. But he does sort of get his head to a lot of set pieces in terms of the defensive. You hope eventually that sort of happens in the attacking sort of third of the pitch and he can grab a goal or 2. But we do look a lot more solid. I remember at the start of the season when Varane come in, we're talking about our set piece coach and how good he's been. Oh, what a difference this set piece coach has made. And I look at it now, well, it might have been Rafael Varane, because in the past 2-3 weeks, everyone's talking about what the hell is this set piece coach doing, because we do nothing but concede from set pieces. So I'm not putting it all down to Rafael Varane, but my God, you can go close to it. So look, Rafael Varane is worth a shout, and look, I wouldn't argue. A lot of people have put him in their comments for the 3-2-1s, but I'll just get your thoughts on my one. Bit of a out of the blue, you do look. Cavani, Bruno got a great assist. Rafael Varane was fantastic. McTominay didn't stand out. He almost had an assist. If Ronaldo was onside, what a goal that would have been. So he almost got an assist there. But I just think in a midfield battle like that, in a tight game, in a must-win game. And the reason why I might lean, I don't know if it's a lazy argument or I'm not really thinking things through, but you mentioned in terms of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer post-match, said Scott McTominay was sort of miles ahead of anyone and man of the match. I do look at that comment and think, well, he's probably given him an instruction, probably placed a lot of trust in him into this sort of must-win game. And he's obviously seen something from McTominay that he asked for. And I just think in that must-win environment, McTominay played very well. And I thought Fred was fine. Fred was good, but I thought McTominay offered a little bit more going forward. And it sort of did burst forward a little bit, which was good to see. But I just think in the pressure situation and what he sort of contributed in terms of, we just look so comfortable in midfield, not from so much a dominating point of view, but you look at the last couple of weeks, teams have just absolutely run through us. I think Scott McTominay was the imposing figure in midfield. And whenever you're the imposing figure in midfield, I think you've had a pretty good performance and sort of contributed to the result.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think you can go wrong with either of these two choices. Yeah, maybe I should give McSauce a bit more credit. I thought, yeah, like you said, going forward, did well, and he kept the ball ticking as well. And I think he covers for a lot of the frailties that Fred has in his game. So, yeah, look, Tom, won't argue with you. If you want to give it to the Scotsman, fair play.
You say that. I think the little spiel you had on Rafael Varane there, I think I might offer Rafael Varane. Just the difference he made will so much comfortable. And maybe the difference in McTominay was having Rafael Varane behind him. Now he obviously had 3 defenders behind him, which made it a little bit more sort of easy to sort of burst forward and get forward on the front foot. But yeah, I think the big McTominay has played in these sort of in the poor performances. Rafael Varane came in and made a difference. So I'll maybe opt after your sort of spiel that Rafael Varane probably deserves it.
Can I put this to you? If our defense was Maguire and Lindelof today, do you think United keep a clean sheet?
The evidence would suggest no. And the confidence. Look, I thought we we're always going to get a better result. And Harry Maguire and Lindelof played well. And we can't just say, oh, it's because Rafael Varane, that's the only reason they played well.
Absolutely.
We're not going to go sort of Jose Mourinho sort of.
Of course not. Of course not. But I think, Varane, it's not always about what he's doing on the ball. I saw Ahmad saying, I'm on the drink, but I think it's quite a sensible assessment. It's not, while he didn't stand out in sort of any one-on-one tackles, what he does for the players around him, the midfield suddenly looks more assured. The players around him, Maguire looked the calmest he's looked all season, while still making me nervous. So no, I think that's a good call, Tom. I think Rafael Varane is the one.
Yeah, no, look, happy to give Rafael Varane a point. And Ahmad here, who's a big fan of Victor Lindelof, saying Lindelof, I'll say it again, offers far more to the side than Maguire. Hard to drop the captain, but Lindelof deserves to start ahead of him. Look, at the moment, in regards to performances, if they're going to play not two at the back, but 2 central defenders, look, I agree that it's very hard to drop a captain, and I might find it hard as a manager to drop the captain. But on performances, yeah, you definitely have to go Victor Lindelof. And I've had this discussion with Ahmad. I think Maguire's a better defender, and I like a defender to defend. But there's no doubt Victor Lindelof's I wouldn't say 10 times better player, but Victor Lindelof's a far better footballer. He's probably even a better footballer than Rafael Varane in terms of on the ball. He's actually got quite a good part. A lot of people say he's our future number 6, which I don't agree with. But when Lindelof does play well, he does sort of start a lot of attacks quite well. He does fizz the ball in the midfield quite well, something Maguire sort of can be a little bit hesitant with. But look, it's great to see him just playing well. And they needed that, not just for us in terms of we needed 3 points, Solskjaer needed 3 points. The players needed a good performance to remind themselves that they're good players, because they're only natural. In the past couple of weeks, they would have been picking up the phone and scrolling through Twitter and Instagram and reading all the comments, telling them how bad they are. These players needed a performance to boost themselves, give them a little bit of confidence, because it's a big week coming up.
Yeah, it is. It is. And like I said, I'm really keen to see what Solskjaer does midweek against Atalanta. So we'll see.
Well, Alex here is saying both McFred felt a lot more confident on the ball and without solid performance. Yeah, Fred was good. As much as I'm praising Scott McTominay, we do sort of pair them up as McFred. You do almost have to discuss them as one entity, and you have to give credit to Fred. Look, he almost was a yard away from scoring a screamer, and he would have been given our 3 points sort of thing. But is there anything else you want to touch on before we start to wrap up, Larry? There's a lot to dissect, but it was good to discuss 3 points and a win.
Yeah, look, not too much, Tom. I agree with, I still think Maguire and Shaw have a lot to account for. What's this comment? You you don't disagree with me. Felt so much more at ease with Varane there. Maguire gonna make me have seizures. I'm agreeing with that point. So I'm not sure what you disagree with, Ahmed. But yeah, look, I think that's the one. I think Maguire needs to lift his performance, and I don't want to be negative. This is a great result. But my criticism of Maguire, just some of the comments midweek, mate. I have to bring it up on here. I just don't think it's the commentary I want to be seeing from my captain. He just doesn't have the level of mentality for me that a Manchester United captain should.
Look, I can make that case.
Agrees.
I think what hurts Harry Maguire there, and this sounds stupid, I don't think he has the voice. I think his voice doesn't really come across as commanding. I think the way he speaks, if you put those words in Roy Keane's mouth, you think, yeah, very good. I think coming out of Harry Maguire's mouth, I just think physically is sort of...
Sounds like he's had a good night in Amsterdam.
Like an alpha male type thing. I just don't think it's sort of that sort of voice that sort of inspires. And that's nothing to do with him. That's just his voice. But I'm sure his messages... Look, we were here last year in terms of in the middle of the pandemic saying what a great leader he is and great example he is for Manchester United and what a great defender he is. He's the best defender for England. We do have to remember he has been playing well. He has been a good signing. Take away the 80 million price tag and the defender. Well, the defender has been quite good. He's in a horrible patch of form at the moment. Hopefully this game he can turn it around. But at the moment, yeah, if we do go to a 2, I wouldn't have any qualms with playing Victor Lindelof next to Rafael Varane. I think he definitely deserves it. And he has stepped up. Luke Shaw stepped up last year under Alex Telles. Well, Victor Lindelof has stepped up under Rafael Varane. Yeah,
and look, I'm not here to debate Maguire's quality as a Manchester United player. I think he is a Manchester United player. And when he's on, he's great. But I just don't think he displays the leadership of a captain. And if I'm being entirely honest, and I don't think Ronaldo's as egotistical as those make out. But if I'm Bruno Fernandes or Cristiano Ronaldo or Marcus Rashford, how do you look at Harry Maguire and be inspired? He hasn't won anything. He's inconsistent. And at least this season, he's been well below par. So I'm just wondering, yes, I understand there's a lack of options. But if I look at what Rafael Varane has done, this is why I said I actually would be giving him the armband. Maybe it's one for Solskjaer to have a chat with Maguire and say, do you think focusing on football might be to your benefit? We'll give the armband to someone else and word it in a way where it's not as a detriment, but we know you can be a good player and I really just want you to focus on what you're doing on the pitch. Let's give the armband to someone else and just so we can see you get back to your best. That's what I'd like to see personally.
Yeah, no, look, I completely agree. It's about here saying Oli and Ahmad. Yeah, he was actually agreeing with you, Larry. I think a bit of a miscommunication there was in regards to Varane points and you being on the drink. But yeah,
I love being on the drink. I'm sad I'm not on one right now, mate.
No, well, it's Saturday night, Manchester Derby. We'll be back at the pub on the drinkers. Who knows what the score will be? It is a positive chat now, but we can't hide from the fact if Manchester City play well, no matter how well we play, unfortunately, we might be on the losing side. But we will wrap up there. Hopefully, everyone did enjoy it. If you did enjoy it, not just the content, but obviously Man United winning, Ronaldo scoring, Cavani scoring, etc. Please do like the video and give us a subscribe if you're new. Tomorrow night, it's obviously a quick turnaround. We've got Atalanta on Wednesday morning, Sydney time. So tomorrow night, we'll actually have a match preview with obviously talking about strikers. We'll have former Matilda and presenter on Stan Sport in the Champions League. Obviously, in Australia, the Champions League coverage has gone to Stan Sport. So we'll have former Matilda Grace Gill on. Obviously, a very good striker. So it'll be great to get her input or insight onto Ronaldo and Cavani, etc., because she's obviously a very good goal scorer when she's playing. So, Larry, fantastic to chat 3 points and a win. It's been too long. I think it was West Ham away last time in London. West Ham away. Obviously the Villarreal and Atalanta, but I can't even remember that Jesse Lingard goal. It was like 3 months ago.
In the league, at least. Yeah, our last win since West Ham. It's been a good while. It has been a good while. I'll give you a spoiler for the Manchester City game, just for us to end on. I guarantee you we will not be keeping a clean sheet against Manchester City. I'm not going to say we can't win, but clean sheet, I don't think it's going to happen.
Obviously, they got a send-off in the Laporte got sent off, so Ronaldo against a sort of a makeshift back four or whatever they play with will be interesting.
Oh, play John Stones, please.
Ryan saying, love it. Wes Pep out. A mad Klopp out. Any manager that loses a couple of games out. Well, any manager who blows a
Agreed.
two-goal lead at home to Brighton, I think they're on sort of touchy ground. But as I said, hopefully everyone did enjoy the video. Make sure you subscribe if you're new, and make sure you like the video. It really does help the channel. And as I said, tomorrow we'll have a Atalanta preview with Grace Gill, who's obviously a former Matilda and Stan Sport presenter for the Champions League. So we'll go through all things Man United and Champions League. Until then, Larry, have a good evening. Enjoy your Monday morning at work.
Pleasure. Cheers.
Have a good one, man. Enjoy the chat, and chat to you tomorrow.